on the Automated Marketer Show.
I think we just need to stop saying that. Like at some point in time, we just have a lot of life things going on right now.
Yeah, well, we're busy, and
yeah.
you know what? We're taking on a bunch of new clients, and we're doing a lot of new things with these new toys that the world of the internet has given us, like ChatGPT, which we were just talking about before we started the show. The new things we're doing with it and the way we're expanding it into our business and using it within Gohighlevel and WordPress sites and so forth. So why don't you lead us off, Nuno? You had
well, actually, I kind of wanted to get a little spicy. I don't know if it's spicy. I mean, how much controversy exists in the world of AI?
Topic.
But apparently it's a hot topic. So what I want to make sure that people understand, there is, I think, about a good significant amount of like controlling wars that are happening right now, which I think is pretty interesting. And again, this is all opinion and there's no fact based on here. So you can fact check me all you want and it might be inaccurate. So I really don't care. But what's really cool is that these wars are going to just end up to give us more benefits because of all things that are happening. So first and foremost, the war of AI and where AI is. So a lot of people know ChatGTP. If you haven't, again, you're living under a rock at some point. And I literally was about to read this important. So at some point in time, like you're going to have to understand that AI is definitely here. It is definitely here to stay. And there's a lot of things that are evolving in it. But there are two very competing companies. The big conglomerates are at each other's I'm going to say AI throats if you really want to think.
Well, lots of company, and we'll talk about that during this. There's a lot of companies at each other's throats, and it's not just the AI companies. It's some bigwigs. One who has an electric car.
Yeah, I know. It was pretty funny. Right now, so we'll break it down into I think about like three, right? We'll first talk about the AI and what companies are really kind of competing against each other. So believe it or not, AI has been around for many years. Everybody should know that, but it just really came into light because of ChatGTP.
What's really cool? People think that it's new, but it's been around for a long time.
It's been around, yeah. I think they
from Steam now.
Yeah, that's right. And I think they broke the mold with the way the ChatGTP kind of interface works. Now, ChatGTP was bought out by Microsoft for a gazillion, I think it was a couple $1 billion.
Right.
And they bought them, right? And then Google is always had and was developing something called Google Bard. Now, what the crazy thing about what's happening right now is that ChatGTP is starting to see a decline in users. It was at, I think, 2 billion users, and I think it dropped down to 1.92, and it's starting to show a massive decline month over month. And guess who's starting to rise up? Google Bard. Google Bard is now starting to get in an incline. It started really small. It was scaling at 100 million to 200 million, but the upscale graph of how many people are starting to use Google Bard is significantly high. Now, what's really cool, they're both very different tools. And I got to be honest, I've been using two and been trying to break both tools. And like, for instance, I asked it, hey, you're acting as a stock advisor. I need you to pick the best dividend stocks that you have for ChatGTP and also for not for ChatGTP, for dividends. I did it in ChatGTP and I did it in Bard. Now, what the crazy thing is about the way ChatGTP did it, ChatGTP was a lot looser and it didn't have any more up-to-date information, because if you're like studying stock or buying it, like you need like in the now information, not so much like what's going to happen. But I don't know if you know this or not. Do you know that it disabled the browser ability inside of ChatGTP?
Yeah, I was noticing that because I was trying to play with it a couple days ago and get some courses we're building. And now, did they disable it because of copyright stuff and all?
No, they disabled it. Well, we obviously don't know the full intent reason. They said they were just testing it, but I think it was because of like it was pulling everything from the web. So imagine if it just pulled some kind of site that some person wrote without any facts, and imagine now it's pulling it in.
Right.
I think it caused a little bit of issues. Now, if you go to Google Bard, it does have access to Google, but I can tell you that I don't know if Google has like a reputational system inside of its own coding that when I asked for stock, it went for the core sites like Bloomberg, Investopedia, like a lot of really core sites.
We have a client named Bloomberg.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think I was like, but it went for the more accurate data. So when I was using Bard, I was getting a lot more accuracy. Versus when I was using ChatGTP, I was getting a lot more creativity.
Right.
So I asked, and for instance, I asked Bard to write me a blog, and it was like, it was okay, mediocre. I asked ChatGPT to write me a blog like ChatGTP4 with the same parameters, and it was more quality blog that I would read. So I think creativity is going to be the path of ChatGTP and a little bit looser in like rules and regulations. And
Right.
then I think your Google Bard's going to be more strict. Now, don't know if you know this or not, but Google Bard is also Google itself developing something called Palm E,
No, I'm
and
not
they're
familiar.
already working with like medical like companies like to develop basically a co-pilot for the medical field. And I think it's
Oh,
pretty cool. So imagine this. You're at the doctor, the doctor's trying to analyze your x-ray, and what's going to happen is the way that they're visioning and the way they explain it, this is my interpretation, again, this is a very loose interpretation, it's almost like it's going to act as a co-pilot. So every doctor, every scientist will have something to help you fact check and talk idea around. Imagine like having your own lab assistant or your
mhm.
own medical assistant that can look at things but have a little bit more technical knowledge. So for instance, if you were to take an x-ray and give it to Google, this Palm software, it would be able to identify what it sees to either validate what the doctor sees or what the valid or show the doctor what it doesn't see.
Now, this is the one confusing. I did hear something about, not this exactly, about how they would use AI and how do you protect people's medical records with HIPAA in order. So, because is it holding on to that data of the person, or is it just get only using the data that's entered at that moment?
So
You know what I
believe
mean?
it or not, Palm will have very high security because it's the highest level of the, I would say the AI. Let's just think about it,
Right.
like the brain, right? They're developing strict for these use with a whole bunch of stuff added to it. So it's going to have a bunch of protection for all of this stuff. So yeah, I feel like Google is going down a very like data-driven scientific path where I think like the ChatGTPs will have some of that ability, but it's going to be a little bit more on the creative side. So think of like, I would associate probably like Mid-Journey with like ChatGPT. I think it's going to follow the
Yeah,
more open, less loose, less temperature kind of thing in there.
I recently watched a video on YouTube, which are always true, you know, but on people using AI and ChatGPT to do their family trees and to do research, because it's everything from what, like 3 years in the past, to actually do research on for disease and so like that, on their family tree, and to see what traits and so forth, and how big, and people are building their family trees now, like something they used to use ancestry.com for. They're
Interesting.
now using ChatGPT to do it because it does all the research and finds the information based on the names, and is already looking in the records and pulling in the records of all that information, all that public information, like the boats our families came over on and the planes that they came over and stuff like that, and pulling all that in. It was a really fascinating video. I just, one of those ones that you kind of flick on while you're working,
Yeah,
and
that's pretty interesting. I mean, look, I think all of that is possible. I mean, what's very interesting is that you got both of these companies competing, and now also IBM had always has had IBM Watson. IBM Watson was the first
a long
original kind
time.
of. It's been around for a long time, and it was kind of the AI that kind of, I don't know if it was what started it, but it's been around for a very long time. Now they're going to start making a run and opening up publicly.
Yeah.
So and we're going to see more and more, long language models kind of kick in. But there is a very active war going on because literally Google made all their announcements of all the cool software that's happening to like a day later, ChatGTP released all its plugins.
Well, it's so funny that you say that, because I was listening to another one of the podcasts I listened to, and they were mentioning how it's not that AI is new. It's that it's been around for a long time, and all these corporations have been using it to display our ads on Facebook. That has been around for almost a decade now. All these different companies, insurance brokers, to figure out underwriting and so like that. So these AIs have been around for an extremely long time. It's just us in the public, we're finally getting the ability to touch it and to use it. So if people are like, well, I'm not going to use AI, I'm already afraid of it. You've been using AI, you just don't know it. Now we're finally getting access to it.
Yeah, and I think it's been a big thing. I think the way I've been kind of accepted AI, and which I recommend everybody, is like treat it as a co-pilot.
Exactly.
Don't treat it as something that's going to become evasive. I think the future is going to be where we're just going to have our own kind of assistant to help us do our tasks faster, and that's what AI has really been to generate. But there's a lot of rules and things that are coming out that are going to really restrict some of this thing as we kind of move on.
And it's like you've said in the past, and I've said in the past, it's not that it's going to take your job away. It's that it's going to change your job, and you have to adapt. That's what anything. My grandfather was a draftsman. He worked for Best Foods, the people who make Hellman's mayonnaise. He was a draftsman. He used a pencil and a ruler. His son, who also worked for Foods, my shout out to my uncle Craig, rest in peace. He did it all on CAD. You know what I mean? So just a different tool for the same job. So that's the whole thing. Don't think your job's going to go away. It's going to innovate. It's going to be different. And you just have to roll with the times.
And I mean, and that's what we're doing. We're just trying to innovate it with it and everything else, which brings us to, kind of like, so that's the first battle, right? So the first battle is the battle for AI. The second battle is going to be for augmented virtual reality.
Right.
So for anybody that doesn't know, and I've been saying this forever, I've been preaching about this forever. I think augmented reality is going to be the next big hit. And the one that kind of is bringing it up to light, but why they made it so expensive is beyond me, was the Apple Vision glasses. I don't know if anybody's kind of seen it. And I know some people have tried it. It is pretty cumbersome. I have yet to try them yet. But it's $3,500 price tag. I don't think anybody's going to run out to the store and be like, oh, I can't wait to get them. And it's basically all it's going to do is bring things that you can interact with in a virtual reality into present reality. I mean, you're putting on glasses, you will see a television, you will see something you can interact with, and doing all that. Now, Google's been a big player in this space, and I think I shared with you, if you're ever in the city and you're using your Google Maps, and there's a little button that says a live view, and you click live view, and the arrow is right in front of you.
Yeah, right in front of you.
And then
recently walking around Chinatown in New York City, we needed to get to an Andy Warhol exhibit in the Village. And I was like, oh, I got to try this thing. And literally I'm walking and we're watching the arrow follow us. So it's really, really cool.
I think that's so cool. But, and I think they developed a couple games that do it. I think Pokemon Go. I think
that's old now. Remember when that was the greatest?
People were like hiding in parks, like waiting for.
Talking about the price tag for the Apple thing, I was listening to another. We're always listening. We're always paying attention to things. We're never resting. And the thing is, it's really about early adoption. You want to price it so high that your early adopters are the people who are maybe a little bit more, and forgive me, sophisticated in their use and understand that some of these technologies are taking time to develop, and they can spend $3,500 and it's not going to hurt. Now, when you bring it down to the sub 1,000 level, that's a different kind of customer, because that means a lot more people can buy it, a lot more people can use it, a lot more problems, a lot more types of people that you want to deal with. So costs will come down. I mean, our laptops now and stuff like that, those costs will come down. It's a matter of time thing. Computers were $10,000. Now you pick up something for $300. That's more powerful than what they went into a rocket with. So if you can imagine.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that the bigger thing to just understand is that Apple's entered the game.
Right, exactly.
And that's what I get super excited about. It gives me chills just thinking about it, because now it's on,
so they waited for the stumbling blocks.
Hold on.
They waited for the stumbling blocks of the other companies. They did it. That's the way. That's their model. They don't just push things out. They make it right. My laptop's a perfect example. It is stronger. It's gonna be better than any Windows, forgive me, Nuno, laptop that you could ever get. Even you use a Mac laptop.
As much as I hate, I love my iPhone and I love Mac laptop. I hate it as I will never use it as my desktop, but that's kind of a thing. But it's not only Apple. So you got Google competing in the alternate reality space and in the virtual reality. You have now Apple competing in that space. Let's not also forget that we have Meta, who's fully vested in the Meta universe and trying to develop in that. So you have three major tech companies going into this at like full boat. Now, Apple coming in makes it super, super interesting, right? Because that means that there is a playing field there. There is a playing field if they're all three going after it at the rate that they are. Now, I think Google's a little bit more in the practical use of it. I think Meta's kind of gotten into the gaming and all that because of MetaQuest and everything else. But remember, they've already started acting as a physical component. And I literally saw the other day where I think augmented reality and all of this is going to come in with AI. A guy who did a TED Talk that was wearing, I don't know the name of it. There's a specific name of it where he's actually wearing like a jacket, and the jacket monitors him and it works with AI to set barriers. So the guy's walking around and he goes, Jim, your heart rate is elevated. Please try to take a quick breath. And the calls were coming from his wife, and he was literally taking it on his like jacket pocket, like almost like old school Star Trek. But they were like,
yeah. Like
this guy's like walking around on stage and he's interacting with his clothes, and his clothes is telling me that his heart rate is going up, and he's communicating with his wife by clicking his jacket. I mean, this is pretty wild. So I think if you think about like, again, what's happening. So Apple's now in alternate reality. You got Meta going heavy into virtual reality, which I think will blend into alternate reality. And then you have Google, who's been playing this. I think now that they're all in the field and they all realize there's massive competition, I think in the next year, I know this AI is pretty cool, but imagine when AI and augmented and virtual reality start talking to each other.
And it's all gonna come together. And you know, it's not that what I like on that front, on the AI front, and this front is it's a war, but I think they're learning from each other, and I think that they're growing with each other. We need to talk about the other war that is happening right now.
Yeah. I think this is funny. It's the Twitter versus Zuckerberg war, which, man, this thing is. I look. I got to be honest.
Musk and Mark Zuckerberg going at it.
Not only in the jiu-jitsu match, which I think is great. I think they're going to do it for charity. But I got to be honest. I don't know who's going to win this one because look, I did martial arts for a while. I'm no jiu-jitsu expert. I've done it for on and off for a couple of years. But here's a couple of things that I think for both are pretty funny. You got Mark Zuckerberg, who apparently did the Murph in 34 minutes. Now, I don't know if you know the Murph. So the Murph is when you wear, I think it's a 25 or 40 pound vest, and you do a mile run, you do 100 pull-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 push-ups within a certain timeline. Now, I've worked on the Murph for a long, long time, and I can tell you that 34 minutes is incredibly impressive if that is accurate. Plus, I think he's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu on top of it. Now, you got Zuckerberg, who has some martial arts training from what I come to find. I think he did like karate training at some point in time, but he's huge and he's big. Yeah, but I don't know if he's in the best of shape. So honestly, I think Zuckerberg can actually outlast.
Will they pull out each other's hair plugs? Because I think they both have hair plugs. So
I really think so. I don't know. Money buys a lot of things, though. I don't know. I think Zuckerberg's. I don't know. I mean, if I'm going to put money at least on that match, it would be Zuckerberg. Now, if I was going to put money,
the more important match is the Twitter against Threads match. Yeah. And what I think is truly amazing is this week, Threads has gotten 100 million new users. Now, mind you, Instagram, which Threads is coming off of, has 1 billion users. So this is just 10% of Instagram, and it's already blowing Twitter out of the water. And a lot of the people who've been on Twitter and find it toxic and so forth like that are moving over to Threads. Now, will that remain? Who knows? But it's really a war. It's really something that's going on, and they're going head to head. And with forget about the cage match. The cage match doesn't matter.
I mean, I don't know. Their posts have been amazing at each other.
It's incredible, but they're suing each other. And you know what? Is this a coordinated effort, or are they really hate each other? Because it feels a little coordinated. You know what I mean?
I mean, look, do I believe that at some point there's got to be some kind of interaction with these two at a higher level that we're probably not privy to? Maybe.
100%. They have
but here's the thing, though. And actually, like, Dan Henry, like,
Bezos is their monitoring, and it's to them.
Yeah. Now, love him or hate him, like Dan Henry, like I follow him all the time. He's actually pretty funny. His ads lately have been pretty hysterical.
I can't take it. I had to silence it. It was too much for me.
I thought they were hilarious.
Dan Henry is way too much for me. I can't stand it.
Yeah, I just keep watching it. I thought it was too funny. But the funny part about that is like it doesn't matter what you like or don't like. It's where your customers are going to go. So you got to go where your customers go. Now, honestly, we're going to do both. Whoever wins a match it just benefits us because that means we're going to be interacting with more customers wherever it is. But it's just another thing. I got to be honest. I've had to silence a couple of my, like, I'm getting to the point where, you know, I'm working throughout the day and we're all in marketing and I have to like not have Facebook on at all. 100%. And it's insanely.
I will go down a rabbit hole and I will start reading comments and a lot of the stuff that I see on certain I understand what they're doing and I respect that they are feeding the beast, as it were, and broadening and trying to get more people on it. But when you know me, I have certain values and certain things that I think about that a lot of the, I'm going to say a bad word, bro marketing just it makes my stomach turn, and I wonder, and some of the things that are said, and when it gets into politics, I'm like, I gotta step out of this, especially
Yeah.
I don't want to
I don't know.
offend anybody,
Part of
and
me
also
sometimes
I don't want to be offended.
Yeah, so part of me I'm very rarely offended, so maybe that's because I have a different tolerance to that. But I can tell you, like, I respect a little bit of it because I respect the hustle that's involved, and I wonder part of me thinks it's true genius. I do believe that some of these individuals out there, I mean anybody, any big, I would say, personality of sorts is usually polarizing in some way. It attracts and unattracts, like, a very core set of people. Like, you know what I'm
100%.
saying? Like, if you're watching Joe Rogan, the guy smokes pot.
Who,
He's
who did you see?
Joe Rogan. He smokes
Oh
pot
yeah, I love
openly.
Joe
He
Rogan.
does all this stuff. I mean, he's very into things, but he has a good audience, and it's an entertaining show to listen to, regardless of values you believe.
Right.
And then if you go on the other left, no, but I'm just saying, I think there's a level of genius when it comes to certain marketing. I honestly, I've met some individuals in person,
Yeah.
and what they play on TV is not the
Yeah,
personality you
like,
get
I
in,
get
like,
that. Even Howard Stern used to say that what he was doing was he was playing this character called Howard Stern, and I like things that Joe Rogan says about vaccines or politics. I might not agree to, but he'll have an interview with a guy who may have discovered Atlantis, or he's talking to a movie star that I'm interested in, and I'm dialed in. I love that show. But then there's certain parts I think the thing is a lot of people have a problem with thinking that they have to agree with every person that they listen to.
that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
and like I can understand that if I'm watching Joe Rogan, I don't agree. Maybe I agree with 50%, and that I can watch. And if I don't like something, I can click it off. I hate it when people get canceled for expressing their opinions. And I hate it when I don't have to agree with everything. And I don't agree with everything the other side is saying. So let's just keep the conversation going. I think that's really what's important. You and I agree on most things, but we still get along.
We disagree on quite a few things. our arguments are epic. It's like
But we're still together and the conversation is still open, which is what's important.
Yeah, but what's wild is, I mean, it's funny that this is getting into the tech world. It's funny that this is in, like, the social media world, man. I just think it's, like,
I think
hilariously entertaining to watch these individuals.
My theory is that tech, Zuckerberg and Musk, these are not actors. These are not sports players. These are tech guys, and all eyes are on them. Tech is the new entertainment. Business is entertainment with the rise of, whether you like them or not, but the Trump show before he became president. The Trump show before he became president.
The Trump show?
The assistant or whatever it was. The show.
Oh, The Apprentice.
The Apprentice. Right.
Yes.
The Apprentice. Okay, you've got Shark Tank. You've got all these business shows becoming entertainment. This stuff what we're talking about is not just for work, but is really, bigger than that. Is your entertainment, your ideas, coming up with something, creating a business. The guy Marcus, I can't remember his name, but he always had the process. He had another show, and I miss on.
I remember the shows. I used to watch some of these shows in between, but you're right. I guess you can make business entertaining too, but some of those have been pretty wild too. Well, there was an episode I watched of the Shark Tank where I think Mark Cuban and the guy from Virgin Mobile, not Brunson, like ClickFunnels, Bronson, or I think its name is Branson. That's it, Branson from Virgin Mobile. Literally threw a glass of water on Mark Cuban, and like Mark Cuban would have killed the guy. But I mean, they must have some kind of relationship. But I'm like watching this thing, I'm like, whoa, those are two billionaires going at it. I'm like, well, what does that look like in real life?
But even like on the Food Network, you see this coming out. Like you see like Bar Rescue or Restaurant Rescue. That's how they improve their business. That's a business show, right? Packaged as entertainment, and that's where you see this going. So I'm in it. I'm fully vested. I love this. I enjoy the hell out of it.
But that's why the marketing angles that some of these people, when we're doing marketing now, again, for anybody watching this, that's like, you have no idea what we're talking about. In the marketing world, there is some controversy because there are very polarizing people to the right and the left and the middle and the right. Like, I don't even know what angles are coming from. Some of them have semi-deceptive marketing, and it's weird.
Jax just went to a film festival and got her because of what she did.
That whole cancel culture thing she did. Well, I mean, it might have impacted her. I actually
I think it
again,
impacted her positively. She proved a point.
yeah, she proved the
Yeah.
point about cancel culture and everything else. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you got to respect her for that. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
big thing to go out there and do something like that, throw yourself out there and then just do it. And then again, it just bogs my mind, man. I mean, we're so boring. Like we gotta
Well,
say,
we're not boring. At least we're putting
coming up
on
with
a
some
show. And you know what?
controversy.
What we should do is we should gossip about this, and we should change the name of the show or call that segment "Hot Garbage." You know what I mean? Oh, did I lose it? It went away. Damn it! I got to get more
It
emojis on
might.
this
I mean,
thing.
just and become like the what is it, the TMC of like marketing.
Oh, the TMC of marketing. That would be fantastic.
It's ridiculous. Well, I mean, long story short of it, and why we went on this ridiculous tangent, but I thought it was good. It still revolves around this big controlling battle of like who's going to be the next big thing.
The
Look,
battle is what
I'm
makes
telling you right now, 1,000%. If I was going to put my money on anything on where the next future state is going to be, AI, you definitely got to get involved. Do I think it's the end goal? I don't. I think super AGI or super AGP or agents where you're working with multiple agents inside of artificial intelligence, that is the next big thing. I think that that's what ChatGTP and Bard are going to grow into. I think they're going to variate at some point. Did you even know that Snapchat has an AI?
No, I'm over 40, and I really do.
You know,
My daughter would probably tell you because she's on Snapchat every day.
there's an AI competing model somewhere in there, and I'm like, I've never even heard of it. I'm gonna have to check it out and find it somewhere. Then you're gonna have your Stable Diffusion and your Midjourney, and they're competing against each other right now, and that's evaluating. So there's a whole bunch of updates on Midjourney that I think we missed that whole boat there. So that's going to be one thing. This whole AI thing is happening, and it's going to be bubbling in. Microsoft, Google are my two best bets on that. And I think Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, again, those two best bets are the two people that have it down. Followed by the the virtual reality and the augmented reality battle that's going to be happening between now Apple, Meta, and Google. And then we're going to have the third battle, which is going to be the social media platforms that everybody's going to operate on, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snap, like YouTube. All these things are basically going to become like the three major things, the three moving pillars that I think people are really going to have to focus in on when they're thinking about their business. Because regardless of what you're doing, whether it's, I think, local businesses to marketing businesses to anything else, I think there is going to be a very big play in the next 3 years for these three like kind of defining spots. And I think that that's what's really going to cause the bigger movement forward. The crazy part about this is when they all start working together at a very deliberate rate, I think we're going to just advance very fast, in a short amount of time.
Well, let's talk about that. And I think I would like to add a subject, and I'm kind of throwing this at you right now, and I did not prep Nuno on this at all. But I think one thing we should do in these shows is show off our latest favorite toy. And I'm going to show a favorite toy that I just got that's in beta right now, just talking about, because you keep talking about Midjourney. You keep talking about Stable Diffusion. And, you know, that's nice. It's nice. It's nice. But that's not a big name. I'm talking about a name.
Oh, I know what you're going to show me.
Right,
I know
you
what
do.
show me. Yeah. This is
a name everybody knows, Adobe people. And, you know, I had a client and I needed to create, you know, an image with money and an anchor in it, and I could not find a image to save my life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you really quickly what I did, and this will be my last little segment on mine. But this is just a money bag. Now I created this anchor off of it with the AI, but this is brilliantly easy to do. All you got to do is you just draw.
Well, I'm going to kind of take it back one notch for anybody watching that's not familiar with what we're talking about. So this is Adobe Photoshop. It is a very advanced editor to basically fix any photos. Like take any photos, the ones you take of your wedding, your kids, anything you have in there, professional photos, all professional photographers. This is kind of their go-to software. It is introduced an AI element that Andy brought to my attention. And again, for anybody that's listening audioly and not able to see the screen, basically what we have is a plain picture with money bags on the left and a blank spot on the right. What Andy's doing right now is he literally took a lasso circle, which is like a tool it has inside of Adobe Photoshop that
Right.
selects an area, and then I'll let you take it from there so you can kind of.
Right. So I selected the area where I want to put something. And folks, I am doing this. I did not tell Nuno about this at all. Nuno, what do you want to put in the left-hand side over here?
On the left side, I can't see which.
Yeah.
Oh, it's blank. It's just a blank spot.
Yeah, no. But what do you want to put inside there?
We'll put a woman driving a car.
Woman driving a car. Okay. And I'm going to just hit generate. It's going to take a moment. What you don't see is that there is a little dialog box that's bringing in the information. And what it's going to do, it's going to give me 3 pieces of content based on what I wrote in there. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. So this looks like it's got women's clothing on the back of a car. This has a car, but no woman in it. And okay, so sometimes it doesn't work out so well. So it's not great, but like
by your awful demonstration.
But like I will show you one that worked out great. The client needed an anchor with that money. So I just stuck this in and this is what it came up with. Now, now obviously this one didn't work right. So I can go back into this and put toy car or girl toy car and try it again. And if I've done it right, there is a really good chance that it's going to have a little girl's toy car, possibly in pink or something like that. There we go.
That's really, I mean, the fingers are a little scary, but that's pretty darn good.
Yeah. And then we have this little car, another car. Notice how it put it on the table.
Yeah. And you also said, and it added shadows. I don't know if what you guys can't see. It basically is a little girl. The little girl's a little creepy. I'm not going to lie because she's got weird fingers. But, and I doubt that's somebody's child because that's an auto-generated image. But the wheels on the car, the little toy car, are reflecting off the table. And there's shadow to the person that was just added. I mean, this is like next level cool stuff.
And the shading over here. Yes, it still has a weird hand, which is a thing that they're working on. But I mean, to get the point across, and you need something simple like this. I mean, you can't beat something like this. And this is a tool that we're using. So you can talk about your mid journeys. You could talk about all your ones that's kind of hard to get into unless you're a specialist. You can't get into, but a lot of people use Adobe Photoshop. My mother, who barely understands how to use this stuff, sometimes uses Photoshop.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. To get one up on me. I can't use that tool for the life. I think I'm like,
I know my dad does. My dad, who's in his 70s, loves playing with Photoshop and fixing up old photos of us. So this is coming into everything that you do. Do you have any toys that you want to show?
No, not today. I mean, we were going to play with Google Bard, but we're kind of coming up on time a little bit. But the cool thing of it is like, you know, so we have now officially converted this to the Automated Marketer podcast. So congratulations, everybody. Now our moms will not only get to watch us, the only 2 people that watch it, but they also get to listen, which is amazing. So with that being said, like, you know, tune in. We are going to try to keep up to date. There are some incredible people out there that are really doing some pretty cool stuff. We're trying to stay up to date with like automations. We are bringing automations into the business that we do. Again, for anybody that doesn't know, we specialize in a couple things. We build automation systems for companies that are doing, you know, 100K plus a year and that just are trying to automate their businesses. That's what we're good at. We specialize in Gohighlevel. We train a lot of people in Highlevel. We actually have a course, Tech VA in a Day, that for anybody that wants to become a technical VA and learn all the in and outs of Highlevel and our favorite flavor of Highlevel, which is FG. We have that we offer every now and again. I think we open it every 3 months. And our students are doing great in that spot, and we're about to launch hopefully soon another certification inside of Highlevel. And we know email. We just happen to know email because of all the people that we had to fix emails for.
Because you've had to fix a lot.
Yeah, and actually, we are going to have a special guest soon. One of my email coaches have been my email coaches for quite some time. Christian Rumshak, she's going to come through, and she's just launched a brand new application that works incredibly well. It's called Email RX. So we're going to be showing her off and all the things that she does. Plus, we're going to some additional collaborators and really have a lot of fun with the show. Like there is a lot of brilliant people that we know that we work with that specialize in a lot of really cool things. And we want to start kind of like giving our gift of knowing them to you, and vice versa, and trying to make
but first we got to come up with a theme song. The Automated Marketer.
See, that is the last thing that we need to come up with. So, so out of all the things that we want to come up with,
that is hot garbage.
But that is funny, and plus we had the chill music that came with this software, but it was pretty funny. But with that being said, again, be on the lookout. Look for those 3 things that I'm telling you. Oh, and there's one final one, which is RPA, robotics process automation. Nobody's talking about it, but I think it's like a missing component. Not going to get into it because then my brain is going to follow up on another tangent there. But you have your AI that you're looking at. You have your alternate and virtual reality. That's going to be a big play. You have social media that is constantly battling of who's going to be on first. And then you're going to have robotic process automation, which is going to be basically, if whatever the AI and the alternative virtual reality can't handle, robotic process automation is going to be the in between. It actually can replicate on a computer keys and strokes by a user. And when they connect RPA with AI, it is going to definitely be a game changer in the universe. So these are the buzzwords you got to kind of read up a little bit about and get yourself educated on. Again, you don't have to know it, but you just have to know enough about it to either help it enhance your business or just be part of it.
Well, hey, it was as wonderful. It was always good speaking with you, Nuno. We're going to be doing these more often.
I'm not even going to say that. We're not going to make any false promises. We stink.
No, I'm not saying that they're going to come out regularly, but we're going to do our best.
We're going to do our best to keep up all right.
So, as always, go out there, get automating your business, and go make lots of money.
That's good. All right, and thank you, guys.